One of them is that preceding this, as I call it, an upheaval, several years before I began having a physical problem that has escalated even up through today, running from my throat down to my solar plexus through this area. And I've really been aware at times, I've sort of looked at it from the chakra standpoint of what chakras is this affecting.
Well, it's energy. It's an evidence of resistance.
Of resistance.
We've been talking about it all day here today. And the reason you feel your emotions in your solar plexus is because that's just the way your body's wired to give you that vibrational feedback. And so when you have sensation there, it is just an indication that your vibration is out of whack. And thought by thought, you bring it back into alignment. It is maybe a physical condition that is ensued as a result of that imbalance, but the physical condition will go away when the imbalance is tended to. And so we encourage you to tend to the vibration rather than to the condition. In other words, the emotional journey first. And we know that when you get, in other words, haven't you noticed, don't you see it in yourself and in others, that when you find yourself frustrated about something, it shows up in your body in some way? In other words, your physical body is really a powerful reflective mirror of the vibration of your being. It's the first line of business. It's the first front in which manifestation can show up. And so it's logical, but don't look at your body, don't contemplate this from a physical condition standpoint. Contemplate it from an emotional standpoint, because you can change the emotion in a matter of 10 or 15 minutes. And when you change the emotion, then the physical condition will follow every single time.
Okay, thank you. And my last question is one of curiosity. My first memory of this was when I was 19, and I've had a series of experiences up until just a few years ago. There was no necessarily a pattern to it, but I actually would hear a voice that was incredibly strong. It was powerful, just so powerful, but so gentle. This really runs very deep in me. Each time I heard this voice, to me, it was so loud within me. There was no question.
Undeniable.
But to do exactly what the statement would be, or whether I don't want to say a command, but it was powerful.
Clear direction.
And the outcome I knew was not my doing, it was spirit, and it was absolute perfection. I don't hear it anymore.
Well, it's not because it is not still there. But, you see, most people will not tell you that they have actually heard a voice.
I understand.
And,
I could put me in a ward.
It's a wonderful thing that you have that touchstone that you remember. In other words, this is something that it was so poignant and so real, and you've been reaching for it ever since. And what you're going to help us say here today in the most powerful way that we've ever said it is that when Jerry and Esther get into their vehicle, the Magellan contraption, satellite in the sky, antenna on the roof, computer in the unit, knows where they are. And then they program in the destination of where they want to be or go. And Magellan gives them visual and verbal description of how to get there. So there are two important components in this guidance. Mm-hmm. And that voice you heard is one of those components. In other words, that's the desire and that you hold, the desire that you've been launching, and source in combination with it. And when you get close enough in vibrational proximity, this is what our message has been all day here today, you hear it. It's undeniable. You don't say, wait, which way should I go? There's no question in your mind. Haven't you had experiences like that where you just knew and it didn't matter what anybody else said about it, you were going to do it? And even though a lot of people that mattered to you disagreed with you, you said, I don't care, I'm going to do this. It was undeniable. And so we want you to understand that that voice is still there and it's still calling you to these endless, wonderful things that you've been asking for. You just got to get in the vibrational range of them. And the way you don't get in vibrational range is by saying it's lost, by saying I can't find it. Yeah, there seems to be a pattern repeating here. In other words, and everyone does that. In other words, most of you are so accustomed to looking at what is that it's hard to get a sense of where you want to be. And yet it's really a very short journey from where you are to beginning to hear that again. Here you are here. Don't you find it amazing that here you are, you've made your way into an environment where everything about who you are and who you are can be explained to you in a logical way? In other words, and while you did not necessarily hear that voice in the way you want to hear it, you've managed to get yourself here, you see. We think you're hearing. We think you're on the right track. This voice that you hear is not a sound that you hear in your ears, although there are many sounds that you are hearing in your ears. This voice that you hear is like a thought that is manifesting in your mind. And it's not so different than the thoughts that you think on a daily basis. And often, we started here today, often you are hearing the voice, but you have become so accustomed to understanding, to hearing the voice. Let us begin in another way. You are more in alignment with this voice than you know, and you are expecting to hear it in the way that you heard it first, while your relationship with it is changing. And so say to yourself, I'm on my path, and I hear it in different ways, and I'm getting better and better at hearing it, and there are many different ways that my path will reveal itself to me. There are doors opening everywhere. And you will find your way. There are many, many, many avenues to where you want to go. It's not one narrow path. We emphatically want you to hear this. And it really is. We've almost come full circle here today, that so many of you are so in sync with your own guidance that it has begun to feel natural to you, and yet you are reaching for it. You're wanting it to feel like it once first felt, and it can't continue to feel as it first felt. Esther, when she first began interacting with us in this way, had several out-of-body experiences, and then later not so many. And she said, Abraham, I'm really wanting another out-of-body experience. And we said, if you knew how much you wanted to be in that body, you would not all the time wanting to get out of that body. And the reason that you had those out-of-body experiences is so that you could put who you are in relationship with the greater picture, and now you've done that, so the out-of-body experience has served its purpose, and the hearing of that voice has served its purpose. You're not going to hear that voice in exactly that way again. The fact that you heard it must be good enough. You know that there's someone talking. You know that there is a source of guidance, you see, and it's going to reveal itself to you in lots of different ways. Yes. Very good.
Thank you very much.
Yes, indeed.